Hi guys. Okay, we are going to start with a quick review unit. This unit is, it comes from items that were at the end of Algebra 1. So a lot of you may have seen this, some of you may not have seen this. We are going to go through it pretty quickly, so we are hoping that you guys kept up with the Algebra 1 at the end of last year and watched and did those lessons with the teachers that you had. There's lots of resources online if you need additional resources or a direction to get resources. Let me know and I can help you do that. So in your supplies bag, you should have received a smaller purple packet that looks like this. It's squares, square roots, and perfect squares. So that's what we're going to work on first before we get into Unit 1. I know that you guys have already done, hopefully, finished the Quizlet for the vocab from Unit 1, so hold tight on that. We will come back to that. All right, so some definitions that you guys need to know is square, the product of a number and itself. So 6 squared equals 36. So that little 2 we call squared. A square root, one of 2 equal factors of the number. So the square root of 9 is 3. And actually the square root of 9 would be a positive and negative 3 because negative times negative equals a positive. So a negative 3 times a negative 3 equals a positive 9, and then a positive 3 times a positive 3 equals a positive 9 also. A radical sign, so a radical sign is this guy, a symbol used to identify that we are taking the square root. A perfect square is a number whose square root is a whole number. So 16 is a perfect square. 1 is a perfect square because 1 times 1 equals 1. 4 is because 2 times 2 is 4. 9 is because 3 times 3 equals 9. So these are all perfect squares. 4, 9, 16. What would the next perfect square be? So that's 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, so it would be 5 times 5, which is 25. So 25 is a perfect square. Why are the shaded portions squares? Because they have the same length and width. Same length and width. So it's a 4 by 4, and it makes 16 squares. It's a 3 by 3, so it makes 9 squares. 2 by 2, so it makes 4 squares. So if I had a 5 by 5, it would be a square, and it would make 25 squares. 4 is a perfect square because 2 times 2 equals 4. 9 is a perfect square because 3 times 3 equals 9. 16 is a perfect square because 4 times 4 equals 16. All right. Using this grid, color a perfect square that is larger than 16. All right, so we could do a 5 by 5 or a 6 by 6. So go ahead and color any of yours. I don't care what number you're going to do. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do 7 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if it's a 7 by 7, I'm having trouble with my throat today. If it's a 7 by 7, how many squares would be in there? It would be 49, right? So that means 49 is a perfect square because 7 times 7 equals 49. So that would be, why is your drawing a perfect square? Because same length and width. Seven times 7 equals 49. Here are our perfect squares. Without a calculator, I want you to pause me and I want you to enter as many of those as you know. Whenever you're done, unpause me and we're going to see how many you could do correctly. So don't use a calculator. Okay, on these perfect squares, I'm assuming almost every one of you, hopefully, were able to get through 10 squared. I would say a majority of you should have been able to get through 15 squared. So really, if you know 1 through 15, we're good. You should also know 20 squared is 400. These are a little more difficult to remember, but if you can remember that, that would be fantastic. Okay. All right, square roots. Square roots are the blank of perfect squares. They are the inverse. A square root of a number is one of its 2 equal factors. 4 times 4 is 16, so 4 is the square root of 16. The symbol, this guy, it's called a radical. It is used to show a number's square root. Square root of 4 is 2 because 2 times 2 equals 4. Square root of 9 is 3 because 3 times 3 is 9. 4 times 4 is 16. 5 times 5 is 25. And 10 times 10 is 100. Guys, this perfect square review, I'm going through it quick, but this you probably learned back before last year for sure. Okay, see if you know these real quick. See how many you can put in. You're finding the square root. So like what times what equals 81? Well, 9 times 9, so 9 is the square root. So pause me, put all the answers in that you can. Okay, go ahead and check yourself on those. See how well you did. Hopefully you are not using a calculator on this. Hopefully you're using your math brain and not needing to put into a calculator. That's our goal, guys, is not to use a calculator on this stuff, okay? What I need for you to do is I need for you to turn to the next page and go ahead and I want you to complete this whole page. I will put the answer key up on here on the video, so go ahead and pause me right now. I'm going to complete this. You complete it also, and then unpause me when you're done with the whole page. All right, guys. So here are my answers. So on these, I had to do, I didn't do 3.5 squared. So that's like doing 35 squared. So 3.5 times 3.5. 5 times 5 is 25. Carry the 2. 17, 0. 15, carry the 1, that's 10. So that's 5, 2, 2, 1, 2 decimal places, so 1225. Okay, so go ahead and check yourself, see how you did. Hoping perfect squares are coming to you pretty quick. You may need to pause me while you're checking yourself to make sure to get all these. Maybe I can zoom out. It's going to make it really small, so hopefully you guys have some place in here. Okay. That gets most of it on. The last number circled is 27. Okay, so that is all for this lesson. So those were short notes. Hopefully you understood the perfect squares, and again, that was just a real quick this is what they are, because I'm pretty sure that most of you guys are good on perfect squares, or hoping that you guys are good on perfect squares. Again, try not to use a calculator. Do not use a calculator for this small mini unit, okay? All right, thanks, guys.